Hey everybody, welcome back. I need to hit on a few things before we get going. First, if you're new to these episodes, we've also got a newsletter. Each week you'll get transition tips, highlights from the guest interviews, and other cool stuff to help you prepare for your transition. So head over to the link in the show notes and sign up. I'm sure you'll like it. Second, I've got a challenge for each of you. As much as I'm trying to make sure I'm covering relevant information, I'm betting I'm missing the mark somewhere. If you could take a few seconds and shoot me a message on social media or send me an email, let me know what I'm not covering or what would be more beneficial to you. It would really help me, but I'm also sure it would probably help somebody else. So please, let me know what's missing or not good, and I'll do all I can to correct it. Thank you. All right, let's get into this week's episode. You ever notice how people talk about retirement or transition like it's some sort of finish line? Like you cross it, you throw your hands in the air, and suddenly life just settles into place. Yeah, that's not how it works. Our careers were never just jobs. They were missions. And when that chapter ends, you don't just stop being who you are. But here's the kicker. If you're not intentional about what comes next, life will decide for you. So the earlier you start thinking about your future beyond the uniform, the better off you'll be when that time comes. So with that, let's get into round 58 of the tactical transition tips. This time, the topic is your purpose evolves. For the close range group, those of you looking at your transition right away or you're less than a year out, find a new mission. For the medium range group, those of you looking at your transition in 5 years or so, develop a micro mentor system. And for the long range group, those of you just starting your careers, you're over a decade before your transition, think in phases.
You transition out is try to model all of the good things, the discipline, the structure, that little bit of rigidity into your everyday life. And I think that that's a great way to make that transition happen, man.
Take the time to invest in yourself because it means everything. You know, that's what the difference is. The difference is not just to collect a check. It's to live 25 years, 30, 40 years after you retire and pay it forward that way.
Close range group, find a new mission. If you're in this group, you're in the thick of it. Maybe your transition is happening right now, or maybe you're within a year of leaving the job. Whatever the case, this isn't some distant, abstract concept. You're about to step into a whole new world. And that comes with a mix of excitement, uncertainty, and let's be honest, a little bit of fear. Now, if you're feeling uneasy about what's next, you're not alone. You've spent years, probably decades, operating in a structured, mission-driven environment. Your purpose was clear every single day. Now, that structure, that mission, it's about to shift. And if you don't take control of that shift, you risk waking up one day wondering, what now? So let's not let that happen. Let's talk about how you can step into this next phase of your life with purpose and direction. First, you have to accept that purpose evolves over time. One of the biggest misconceptions about transition is that you have to replace your old purpose with something of equal weight. That's not how this works. Purpose isn't something you trade out like a uniform. It's something that grows with you. But the problem is, a lot of us don't see it that way. We think that if we're not serving in the same capacity, then we've somehow lost who we are. But the truth is, you're not leaving your purpose behind. You're expanding it. Think about it. Service was never about the job title. It was about the impact, the leadership, the ability to handle chaos, to solve problems, to guide others. Those things don't come from a badge, our rank, or our uniform. They come from you, and they don't just disappear when you transition. And for each of us, The key is learning how to channel them into something new. So instead of asking, what job should I do next? Ask yourself, what problems do I want to solve? Look beyond the job titles and focus on the skills and experiences that energize you. Seek out those transition stories. You're already listening to this podcast, but listen to others. Okay, who am I fooling? Just listen to this one only. But seriously, do what you need to do to find those transition stories. Listen to how others have successfully redefined their missions. Next, reframe work as a mission, not just a job. Here's where a lot of us struggle. When we step into a civilian career, we see it as just a job, a paycheck, a way to pay the bills. And look, I get it. Financial stability is important. But if that's all your job becomes, you're going to feel stuck, most likely unfulfilled, and probably disconnected. The reason why our careers are so fulfilling isn't just because of the adrenaline or the camaraderie. It's because they have meaning. They matter. They make a difference. And if you step into a career that feels empty, you're going to feel lost. That's why it's crucial to reframe your civilian career as a new mission. Seek out roles where you can continue to make an impact, where you can be a leader, be a mentor, be of service. Hell, be a business owner and take care of your employees. Look for jobs that align with your values, not just your skill set. Find ways to bring leadership and service into any career where you can advocate for veterans or former first responders who are now working in the workplace. Problem solve the way no others can. A mindset shift from job to mission makes all the difference. Third, focus on growth, not just stability. It's easy to think, I just need to land somewhere safe and I'll figure things out later. And while stability is important, settling too soon can leave you feeling unchallenged and stuck. You've spent years developing discipline, self-confidence, and adaptability. If you don't have something pushing you forward, you're going to feel like you're treading water. And for someone who's used to momentum, that can feel suffocating. Look for those roles that challenge you and help you keep learning. If your first job post-transition doesn't excite you, ask yourself, is this a stepping stone or am I settling? Your long-term success comes from choosing progress over comfort. Fourth, set short-term and long-term goals. Right now, transition might feel overwhelming. Too many moving parts, too much uncertainty. But what's the best way to stay on track? Break it into short-term and long-term goals. Short-term are those things that you can get in line as you approach and stack up on that door marked transition. Long-term are the goals you have after stepping through that door. You need to be thinking 3 to 5 years past your transition. Without a clear direction, transition can feel like you're free falling. So use a structured approach. Focus on immediate action steps while keeping long-term goals in mind to help keep you grounded. Along those same lines, get comfortable with reinvention. You might try one path and realize it's not for you. That's not failure, that's growth. Too many of us hesitate to pivot because we fear instability. But in reality, reinvention is just part of any successful career. The best leaders, the best entrepreneurs, the best professionals evolve. Stay open to new opportunities, even the ones that don't seem like an obvious fit. Learn from every experience, even the jobs that aren't perfect, but trust the process. Your transition is a journey, not a one-time event. Reinvention, it's about starting over. It's about building forward. So here's the takeaway. You're not losing your purpose. You're expanding it. You're stepping into a new mission, one that you get to shape on your own terms. And if you approach this transition with the same mindset that made you successful in service, you won't just land somewhere, you'll thrive there. You ever feel like your body just isn't keeping up like it used to? We all know that life doesn't slow down, and sometimes the grind catches up. Lower energy, lagging focus, or a dip in motivation. Human Performance TRT understands the need to regain your edge. As a veteran and first responder-owned company, they're not just another telehealth provider. They take a full spectrum approach to your health, crafting personalized plans that go beyond hormones. There's no locked-in subscriptions, no hassles. Everything is delivered directly to your door, so you can stay focused on what really matters. Also, if you're already on a hormone replacement program, you can switch over seamlessly with recent blood work. There's no extra tests required if your labs are under 6 months old. So are you ready to optimize your health? Visit hptrt.com and see what personalized care looks like. And don't forget to use the promo code TDP for 10% off your program. Medium Range Group. Develop a micro mentor system. Yes, you're not stepping out of service tomorrow. You're not scrambling to update a resume or wondering how to explain your experience in a job interview. But here's the thing. Time is only an advantage if you use it wisely. Too many of us wait until the last minute to start thinking about transition. We assume that when the time comes, we'll just figure it out. However, and we all know this, you'll wake up one day, realize you're 6 months away from getting out, and suddenly you're overwhelmed, you're unprepared, and you're stressed out. Don't let that be you. If you're 5 years or so out, you have an opportunity to design your own transition. And one of the best ways to do that is to develop a micro mentor system. Now you're probably asking, what does that mean? Basically, instead of relying on one mentor to guide you through the process, build a rotating system of mentors. Every 3 months or so, find a new mentor from a different industry, a different background than yours, or a different career path. By consistently exposing yourself to new perspectives, you'll gain insights that will help you shape your transition strategy. So how do you do this? Step 1, define your transition focus. Now, you don't need to have everything figured out yet. But if you want to get the most out of a mentor, you need to have some sense of direction. Too often we approach mentorship with a vague or overly broad mindset, saying things like, I need career advice. But if you don't have some idea where you're headed, those conversations are kind of pointless. It's like asking a pilot, I need advice about flying. They're bound to ask you, flying what? Fixed wing, rotary, jet, propeller? As opposed to seeking out a commercial airline pilot and asking them, I fly C-130s. What do I need to know about becoming a commercial airline pilot? Remember, you need specific information, so specific questions get better answers. Here's what you need to do right now. Identify a few industries or jobs that interest you. This doesn't have to be your final decision. You just need to identify a starting point to focus your efforts. Then, once you've identified some, start learning all you can about these careers. I'm sure there's aspects that you don't know about these careers. And by narrowing your focus, you'll make it easier to find the right mentors. Step 2, diversify your mentor selection. We instinctively seek out mentors who share our same background. Cops talk to former cops, firefighters look to other firefighters, veterans connect with vets. And while that's valuable, it can also be limiting. The civilian job market operates very differently from what we're used to. If you only seek advice from people who are like you, you'll miss out on valuable insights about industries that might be a great fit for you. Look beyond your immediate circle. Seek out professionals in a variety of industries. and be open to learning about new or different careers. Using the pilot example again, maybe instead of only talking to pilots, make connections with people who work in operations at an airline, or maybe talk with somebody who's involved with designing and building airplanes. Who knows? Maybe there's a job component within the aviation industry that would be more rewarding than being a pilot. The more perspectives you gather, the better prepared you'll be when it's time to transition. Step 3, learn industry culture and language. Every industry has unspoken rules. The way people communicate, the leadership styles that they value, how decisions are made. If you walk into a corporate environment and you act like you're still in this job or these jobs, it can create friction. A lot of us struggle with that culture shock when we move into civilian roles. The earlier you start understanding these differences, the smoother your transition is going to be. If a mentor is a former us, ask about the biggest differences between their industry and our world. Now, I get it. I sound like I might be contradicting myself, but don't cut your nose off to spite your face. Finding a former first responder or veteran who's now doing that job will be beneficial. However, if a mentor isn't a former us, then just know you'll have to rephrase how you ask questions, and you're likely going to have to explain details from our careers as it relates to their careers. Learn how a company operates. Does every employee have a say in how things are done? Are decisions made top down, or is collaboration valued? Little nuances like these could help you decide if that company is for you. Read everything you can about the industry and the company. Look for news articles, read blogs, connect with and read the posts of employees and the leaders in that industry. Gather all the intel you can to help you understand how your target field operates. Getting ahead of this will make you a stronger candidate when it's time to apply for jobs. Next, apply what you learn in your job today. This is where most of us go wrong. We collect all this information, but we don't actually use it. Information is great, but implementation is what makes the difference. Start deploying any new skills and adapting what you learn now. If a mentor shares a leadership aspect from their company, test it out in your current role and adapt what does and doesn't work. Make this part of your performance style today. Also, take on any new responsibilities that will help prepare you for your transition goals. Position yourself to get your current organization to get you as many skills as you'll need in your next career. It's always better to get your current organization to pay for training that will benefit you when you leave. As a whole, think of it as practicing for your future. The more you integrate information, lessons, and skills now, the less overwhelming transition will be later. Plus, it's going to make you a stronger candidate for promotions or duty assignments while you're still in these careers. Last, maintain relationships post-mentorship. Your relationship with a mentor isn't just a one-time conversation. It should be the start of a professional relationship. And a huge benefit to you is these relationships often lead to job referrals or insider knowledge and career opportunities down the line. The best opportunities often come from people who know you, not just who you know. A mentor who's seen your interest and your dedication is more likely to recommend you for a position or introduce you to somebody important. How do you apply this, though, right now? Check in with past mentors. Send an email, share an update, or ask for additional information. Bottom line, stay connected without being annoying. Express gratitude. A simple thank you message can go a long way in keeping a relationship strong. You have to resign yourself to this, though. Strong professional networks don't happen overnight. They're built through consistent engagement and relationship building. And like it or not, you have to realize that it will probably rely on you to drive the train. So like I said, you have a bit of an advantage right now, which is time, but only if you use it wisely. Connect with people from different backgrounds, ask good questions, apply what you learned today, and by the time you're ready to transition, you won't just be stepping into the unknown. You'll be walking into a career you've prepared for. What powers you through your day? If you're like me, coffee's at the top of that list. So take your coffee to a new level with Trident Coffee, a veteran-owned brand that's redefining your coffee experience. Cold brew experts, their instant cold brew is a game changer. And though they roast their beans to excel as a cold brew, trust me, their coffee tastes just as amazing hot. Trident Coffee is also committed to your wellness, with ingredients like organic mushrooms, adaptogens, and nootropics to help boost your focus and support your immunity. It's made for those who enjoy good coffee and value quality and health. Whether you're looking for that perfect, refreshing cold brew or a smooth cup of hot coffee to fuel your day, Trident Coffee has you covered. Head over to tridentcoffee.com and use the promo code TDP15 for 15% off your order. Long Range Group. Think in phases, not just a single retirement plan. I know you might be thinking, why do I need to worry about transition right now? I've got a long time before I even think about my next career. And that's exactly why this conversation is important. Because the people who transition successfully, the ones who land on their feet, find meaningful work, and don't struggle with identity loss, are the ones who plan ahead. Believe me, I hope your transition happens on your schedule. But you have to understand that you can be in uniform today, and tomorrow you're in a completely different world. Now, granted, that's not likely, but it is possible. You need to break your career into phases. I would separate your long-term vision of your career into 4 or 5 year blocks. Then within those blocks, set specific goals. Here's just a suggestion. Maybe you're really early in your career. Phase 1 could be assignments. What teams or jobs do you want to get on or do? Phase 2, increase knowledge and learn more about operating those teams and logistics for those teams. Phase 3, leadership assignments. Learn how the organization operates. Phase 4, increase your leadership skills and training. Now, this is just a suggestion. You need to plan and plot what works best for you. But whatever you do, don't just make your career about going through the motions. Unfortunately, a large number of our peers didn't realize they were transitioning until it was too late. They focused on their service years and then scrambled when retirement, or even worse, an injury snuck up on them. Thinking in phases eliminates this last-minute panic. Learn and develop transferable skills now. Build up those high-value skills, project management, conflict resolution, strategic planning, risk assessment, but also learn how to translate those skills when you get out. One of the biggest struggles we face is explaining our experience in a way that makes sense to civilian employers. Also, cross-train in your current duty assignment. Take on assignments that build your business and communication abilities. Build skills like working with budgets, dealing with personnel issues, or purchasing and acquisitions. I understand, these all sound like the boring aspects of our jobs, but you have to understand, there's not a huge market for kicking doors in the civilian world. So yes, go get on those 100-mile-an-hour teams. But while you're there, learn the logistics side of things. Trust me, the earlier you start refining the civilian skills, the better you'll be when you transition. Also, while you move through your career, stay adaptable. Expect the unexpected. The reality of these careers is your transition may not happen when you expect it to. Injury, changes within your organization, changes within your family can accelerate your timeline. And if you're not prepared, that can put you in a tough spot. I've had numerous guests who got blindsided by an early exit. Those who planned ahead had options. Those who didn't struggled. Always have a fallback position. Keep an updated resume. Even if you're years away, make it habitual to refine your resume every year. Do a self-check and identify new skills that you can add to your resume for the following year. Build an emergency fund. Having a financial cushion gives you flexibility if things change suddenly. Connect to civilian networks. The more relationships you have outside of these careers, the better you'll be able to pivot if needed. Everything we do in our jobs is about planning for the unexpected. Do the same when it comes to this career and your next career. Make sure that you're in control, not the circumstances. Another thing, create your civilian identity now. Your uniform is part of who you are, but it shouldn't be all of who you are. If your identity is entirely wrapped up in this career, leaving it behind will feel like losing yourself. Those who struggle the most post-transition are the ones who never built an identity outside of their uniform. The successful ones have interests, relationships, and passions beyond the badge or the insignia. Do something different. Join a club. Pick up a hobby. Volunteer for something bigger than you. Find those things that give you purpose away from these jobs. Build friendships besides other veterans and first responders. Develop connections and relationships with those on the civilian side now. It's going to pay off later. You need a variety of people in your life to help you develop a civilian persona. Look into side hustles or other projects. If you've got a business idea, try it now. In simplest terms, you'll find out if you actually like it. But it could also create an income source that might make you consider your transition sooner than later. Building a well-rounded personal identity will make your transition so much smoother. But more importantly, it makes you a better you today. Last, while you're building your career in phases, leverage your improvements for promotional roles. When we leave these careers, we're great candidates for leadership roles. But how much better would you be with acknowledged leadership experience? How many more opportunities would be available to you with advanced leadership training? Many times we undersell our leadership experience because we might not have had the title. But leadership is exactly what we bring to the table. As you move through this career, stay in tune with the industries where leadership is in demand. But don't assume that that industry is going to continue trending. Learn to identify trends early so that you can best position yourself when the time is right. Join all the leadership programs you can. Find the organizations that offer training for veterans and first responders preparing for executive roles. If necessary, pay for classes yourself. Always be thinking that you need to invest in your future. Get out of your comfort zone and be a leader today. Besides better preparing yourself for your transition, you also have the ability to make your organization better, and you can have a hand in improving things for you and your coworkers. So remember, The key to a successful transition isn't about making one big decision the day you're done. It's about taking small intentional steps over time. Think and prepare in phases so that when the time comes, you easily step into your next mission. Okay, so in closing this out, no matter where you are in your journey, the key is to taking control of the process before it takes control of you. Close range group. Find a new mission. Your transition isn't about replacing what you had. It's about redirecting the same drive, discipline, and execution into something that's best for you. Medium range group. Develop a micro mentor system. You don't need all the answers right now, but every mentor, every conversation, every new perspective builds a future you design, not one you stumble into. Long range group. Think in phases. The most successful careers don't end abruptly. They evolve. If you start shaping your next phase now, you won't just find your future, you'll own it. Thank you for listening to or watching the episode. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to reach out on social media or send me an email. I'd love to hear from you. You can find the links in the show notes. Also, if you're not already, please follow the podcast on whatever platform you get your podcasts. And you can also subscribe on YouTube. Also, if you would, please leave a rating. The more ratings gets the podcast recommended to more people. Another ask, please share the podcast with anyone you think could benefit from and enjoy it. Last, don't forget to sign up for the newsletter. And remember, you know that moment will come. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but eventually the shift happens. And when it does, you'll be ready because your purpose evolves.